back with the backhoe and dig it out. And then it sinks back in.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen that, I've seen that happen more than once as a citizen, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous. We try to phase our public improvements and our water line replacements in such a way that we don't tear up a brand new street in order to fix something that got broke. We were able to save that problem over on Leroy when there were a bunch of failing septic mains, as well as a need for some new mains to be installed, and we got that done, thankfully, before the street got paved. So we try to do that wherever we can.
John, you can use the renewal money on 5th Street. Right now, it's set up, you can use it, and why? You have 100 acres sitting there, it's certified industrial land, ready for development, and you need a good transportation arterial into that street, or into that 100 acres, and that's 5th Street. Now, right there, you eliminate all that.
I'm going to take your suggestion as a nomination for the Urban Renewal District to move. No, you don't have to do a thing. You just did. To add 5th Street to the Urban Renewal District.
Yeah, well,
I'll take it to the Urban Renewal Committee, and we'll see what they do.
That's certified by the state. That's ready to be
It's
developed.
a certified industrial site, but it's only the site itself, and a little cherry stem going up 5th to the site is in the Urban Renewal District. The rest is not. That's not to say it can't be. Yes, sir.
Single source access to the new development being done at the end of Stour Street. Does that not qualify Stowers and all its tributaries as part of the Urban Renewal District, because the county included that development because it was county-owned property into an Urban Renewal District? Why cannot the only access to it?
I wish you'd be on my Citizens Committee.
Huh?
I wish you'd be on my Citizens Committee that I'm trying to organize. The short answer is only 20% of the city's land base can be in an urban renewal district, and only 20% of the assessed value. So working with those criteria, we selected the sites and the streets and the locations that we felt had the highest potential of being redeveloped or attracting new development. And those were the basis for making those urban renewal boundary decisions. And when you look at our urban renewal boundary map, you'll see that it looks like a plate of spaghetti. Stuff's winding all over the city. It's not just one contiguous downtown core. It spreads out all over. It takes in the railroad tracks going out of town, for example. And as Mrs. Hanson pointed out earlier, takes into account the South Molalla Forest Road, which is closed off right now, but which the city owns all of the right-of-way to it, and which we've identified 10 years ago in our master plan as a great arterial bypass or truck route, so that we don't get all the trucks all the time on Main and Molalla. But that's a dream. It's more of a vision than a reality. We don't have the money to do that either, but we have. If you don't dream about something, it never happens anyway. So that's something that we've been working with ODOT on. We have a study underway right now with money from the Special Public Works Fund. We hope we'll get that grant approved, and if we do, we'll know within a year or so what our options are for the South Molalla Forest Road. How much more right-of-way would be required to make an arterial out of it? Could it be used just as a local street? Could it be used as an alternative state highway and we take over Main Street? Those are all questions that are still up in the air.
As long as you keep under the 20% of the city in the urban renewal area, is it hard to change the map?
Changing the map requires a decision of the city council, and then I have to send a letter to all of the other taxing districts that would have collected money from the city, and that's the fire district, the school district, the county, vector control district, a couple of other, Port of Portland, for God's sake. All of them have some little piece of the tax package, but I simply send them a letter saying we're proposing to alter the boundaries of the district. Do you have any objection to that? They get a chance to write back and say no, go ahead, whatever, as long as it doesn't affect their bottom line. They really don't care. Susan?
Yeah, you talked about your plan for the Forest Road. That same master plan had the 1 to 5 year horizon priority for these streets. Number one priority in your own master plan, the Forest Road dream was out to a 20-year horizon, and you have spent umpteen hours concentrating on the Forest Road dream, which is, believe me, I can guarantee you all, not going to happen. Why did you not concentrate on the 1 to 5 year priority? You said, I don't live in this neighborhood. My state money paid for the grant that wrote your master plan that you are not following. So can you please explain why we're focusing on the Forest Road aspirational dream when your own plan was a 1 to 5 year horizon for these roads in Sunrise Acres? Number one priority.
Well, I can only tell you that you make your plans based on your dreams and your aspirations and what you think makes the most sense for the future development of the city. And if you can't get it done in 5 years, you decide, is it worth doing it all? And the decision has been, yeah, the dream lives on. It's still worth doing.
5 years for the Forest Road, Mr. Atkins. It was 1 to 5 years for the Sunrise Acres. Have you read your own $63 million master plan, street plan?
Well, as you know, money comes in from the state gas tax revenue to fund our street department. We have very minimal other sources of revenue. We rely pretty much, and we're fortunate enough to be able to qualify for community development block grant funding. So that's helped us out quite a bit, and we're not going to let go of that opportunity, and we're going to continue to pursue it.
You had a pretty good source of revenue with the system development charges, and then you gave away $1 million to the apartment complex. And if we kept on pulling in system development charges, we'd have some money.
You know, that's a great question. And systems development charge moratorium was approved for the purpose of generating new commercial development in the downtown core. So far, it seems to be working. A proposed 165-unit apartment complex and 4 retail pads is before our planning commission right now for consideration. That public hearing is continuing. Will continue again in May. After that, it goes to the city council for their approval. So that's a project that we did a quid pro quo to try to get the economic development activity going. For systems development charges in general, though, and it's a sad story, but it's the truth, state law doesn't allow you to use that money to rebuild existing local streets. You can't do it. All you can do is use that money to expand the capacity of your transportation system. So if I wanted to change Molalla Avenue from 50 feet wide to 60 feet wide, I could use the systems development charge revenue for that additional 10 feet. If I want to put a signal at Main and Molalla Avenue for $250,000, I can use SDC money for that because that's a capacity improvement. But unless I'm actually improving the capacity of the system versus just maintaining or repairing the system, I can't use the SDC money for maintenance and repair by law.
But you want to add sidewalks, that would be improving.
I'm looking into that right now to see whether or not SDC money could be used for sidewalks. I'm not so sure that it improves street capacity, and that's the key point. Sue, did you have a final thought?
Well, I have 2 questions. I wanted to know if Mayor Clark was invited to come tonight and if he considered coming tonight, because man, so many of the citizens of his town are here. And then one thing that worries me a lot, I've talked in other meetings about that big restaurant up in Oregon City. Can you tell us, this Hart Street project, are they going after commercial financing for that project, or is the city of Molalla considering urban renewal funding for that project?
I haven't been asked for any urban renewal money, and if I were asked, I would refer it to the Urban Renewal Board, which is the city council. It's a legitimate use. I mean, that's an allowable use of urban renewal money, but our Urban Renewal Advisory Committee just held an open house here last week to take ideas for urban renewal suggestions for improvements. We got a lot of nice suggestions, you were there, and none of them had to do with privately financing any private improvement. So I think they're going for private financing, and I think they've got it, but I don't know it. They don't confide in me.
Don't you need a whole bunch of street improvements down at the 4-way stop to facilitate that development if it were to occur? Aren't there millions of dollars of street improvements needed at the 4-way corner?
At Four Corners Industrial Park?
No, at this alleged Hart Street waiver project. I read the ODOT reports, and it looks to me like there's a couple $1 million at least needed of street repairs that would be on the developer of the city.
Yeah, the reason we had to postpone the hearing twice now is ODOT hasn't given us their final recommendations for that project. And it's possible. It's possible that the recommendations from ODOT will doom it, you know? But I don't know that that's the case. I think they're rethinking whether or not they want to kill economic development with more conditions of approval.
How is more bodies economic development? Are you gonna put a smattering of low-paid, commercial jobs if you're lucky in some drive-in, and then you're gonna have 170 apartments with people in them? How does that facilitate economic development, other than make money for a landlord?
Well, we could talk about it later. I didn't want to get into
Well,
a
you
debate on urban
used the
renewal,
term
actually.
economic development, Mr. Atkins.
Sir?
So have we decided that we're not gonna do this now?
I think the message I've gotten from everybody
let's
here
go.
is that we're not going to do the LID, but
Let's not drag it out forever.
I will promise you that I will get back in touch with you with some new ideas as to how we might proceed going forward. So thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you for letting us in.